Good morning, gamers. It's me, Ron, your resident bug. Welcome back to another deck profile, and just like last time I did Lascaria, we're way late to the game. So this deck got support back in... let me check. DZBTO2, and we are currently on set 7 is the next one set to come out, and set 6 actually just did come out, so a little far behind, but I wanted to do an updated profile because I think it's set 8 where we get new support, and the whole meta changes from then on, so this is kind of where we're at, and I would like to kind of talk about where we're at before we go into that, because it's good to keep profile on, you know, where I'm at personally with the deck. So first and foremost, before we get too far into the deck profile, this is your friendly reminder to make sure you get an energy generator, energy tokens, or the energy counter. I don't actually have one of the counters itself over here, with one of the plastic coins to be able to mark your energy. In D series, this is insanely important. This is ridiculously important. You can basically lose games if you don't have it, so make sure you get it, and let's get right into the deck profile. So Lascaria, super important deck. It's not super important. It's not the strongest deck, I'll be honest. It has insane survivability and not a ton of on-field and destructive pressure, but every card in your deck has some sort of way of plussing. So, without further ado, getting into the deck, let's look at the ride line. You've got Time of Happiness, Lascaria. It's your basic, generic, grade 0, and before we get too far into the ride line, I would like to point out that as the Summerfest of 2025 comes around, the entire Lascaria and a bunch of other ride lines, including the Stoiraja ride lines, will be getting frame rare versions during the promo packs that you get for entering over there. So if you guys are watching this video and have attended one of those and you have a Lascaria or Stoiraja ride line piece, please feel free to reach out to me. I am looking to buy. I would like to frame rare both of the ride lines. That being said, good starter. I think it's a cute card. It starts telling a story. This is Lascaria as a toddler and her mom, and yeah, look at her go. She's happy. So you got Days of Training Lascaria, the grade 1 of the deck. She is now getting older, maybe teenager, early teenage, preteen, who knows. She is fighting. She's training. She's getting ready to, take part in the family business, as it really is. She's got one ability. When this unit is rode upon by the grade 2 Lascaria, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 or greater Blitz order that's not a Regalis. Reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle the deck. So you search your deck for a grade 2 or greater Blitz order that's not your Regalis piece, which means this is the first part of your game where you can look and be like, this is what I'm playing against, I think, because this is after you ride the grade 2. This is what I'm playing against, I believe. Do I need this, this, or this? And this is where teching in different Blitz orders comes into play, really. So then you've got Oath Upon Mother's Sword Lascaria. This is the part in her story where her mother passes on and she obtains her mother's sword. This is a sad, somber moment in her life, but it's a very important part of her life where she really commits to the family business of basically being the Bug Mafia. Yay! I love me a Bug Mafia. But this card also has an amazing ability when it's rode upon by the grade 3 Lascaria. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 normal unit with Veleno in its card name, or up to 1 Blitz order from among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So the story just got a lot sadder, but it gets a lot better because as time goes on, she grows up, she gets more and more adjusted to her position as the head of the Veleno family, and she gets, through all of these times in her life, the good, the bad, and the harsh, and she comes out to be this beautiful, strong warrior. So here we've got our main boss, Sword Princess of Dreamblade, Lascaria Veleno. And I feel like the fact that they gave her the title Princess means that in the future, they could give her Empress or Queen or any of the other above Princess titles when making a second version of her. So I feel glad that they left themselves open to that, if they ever choose to do so. So she's got 2 really strong abilities, a continuous Vanguard Circle during your turn if you have 3 or more units with Veleno in their card names. All of your units with Veleno in their card names get power plus 5k. Then, if you have 5 or more, and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, critical plus 1. Really good going second, but honestly it's stronger going first because a free plus 5k buff to your entire board basically is nuts. You get to hit some really big numbers and really ruin their day. Second ability, Auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle, your unit was attacked and was not hit. If you played a Blitz order during that battle, draw a card. And if it didn't hit, and if you did not countercharge, I apologize, this turn, then you countercharge 1. Basically, on your Vanguard, you get to be tanky. You get to draw cards for guarding attacks, and you get to countercharge 1. Kind of reminds me like of Gridora, how Gridora had the ability to countercharge once per turn, so really, really good stuff from the ride line. But that being said, let's get into the rest of the deck. So we're going to do based on grade, and then we'll, after we get through the grades of normal units and trigger units, we'll go into the orders that I'm running. So we've got 3 more Persona rides of the Lascaria Veleno. It's just important, of course, you know, it's a Veleno card, so you can search it from some of your other stuff. And Persona ride, I mean, who'd have thought Persona ride is good? Wow. Then we've got 4 copies for now of Veleno Caporajime Eriphus, or Caporajime, I think it's Caporajime. Eriphus. This guy is the most amazing card that they gave for us, and he's a double rare. I don't understand why they did this with the double rares. The frame rares get the double rare background, and the SRs got this background, but then like the next set they did it differently so that the SRs don't have this background. So I'm not sure what they were planning on doing or if they did this intentionally, but I love this. This is gorgeous, so that's that. It's got 1 very strong ability, Rearguard Circle, once per turn. At the end of the battle, your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Lascaria in its card name attacked. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, counterblast 1, stand this unit, and then if you have 3 or more units with Veleno in their card names, he gets an additional plus 5k. So you're getting plus 5k from her, plus 5k from him on restand, and you can see that yes, this is a 4-2-5 attack deck because it's not restricted to once per turn, so if you have 2 of them, you can just doink, doink, swing her, doink, doink, and doink, doink. Pretty strong. But that's our grade 3s. They didn't really give us too many grade 3s to work with. We'll get into that later. Getting into the grade 2s, we've got 4 copies of Veleno Soldate, or Soldato Grudoli, excuse me. I've got 2 frame rare and 2 SR because I couldn't choose which one I liked more. I think they're both gorgeous. Just genuinely. I love them both. I think the SRs are a little less like cluttered, so I might enjoy them more. But yeah, you can see right here, this is what I mean by it having the double rare foiling. It's fine, it's nice, it looks gorgeous anyways, but it's just kind of like weird that they changed it from one going to the next. So he's got 2 abilities. Excuse me. When placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Lascaria in its card name, Soul Blast 2, choose a card with Veleno in its different card name from this unit, and grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from your drop zone, call it to Rearguard Circle. So you've got your field reoccurrence in this guy, and he looks gorgeous. I think he's beautiful. Then his second ability, Rearguard, continuous Rearguard Circle during your turn. If you have 3 or more units with Veleno in their card names, this unit gets boost and power plus 5k. So he is a 15, boosted by your Vanguard, 20k booster for your entire field that will also call stuff back from your drop zone. He's amazing. Getting into the next grade 2 that we're running, and I'm sorry that it's a really pricey card. We don't have the next set of support yet, so we're still running this, but it is Azure Sky, White Scale, Aspronia, and Saphira. She's gorgeous. I think she's an amazing card, but she's going back right into my Levidraw stack as soon as we get the next wave of support. It's got a very simple and strong ability when it's placed on Rearguard Circle from hand, other than during the battle phase. Look at the top card of your deck, put it on top of the deck, or discard it. Then cost Counterblast 1, perform one of the following. Choose a normal order from your drop zone and put it to your hand, or choose a grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone and call it to Rearguard Circle. You might be thinking, hey, this deck wants blitz orders, right? Why do you need the normal order stuff? Shh. We'll get there. This card is mostly used for, I check the top card of my deck. If it's a trigger, I put it back. Then you can call this guy, excuse me, I bit my tongue. Then you can call this guy, use his ability to Soul Blast 2, and then call anything else from your drop zone. So for Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 2, you get 3 units to field, potentially more, because our next card, and one of, is Veleno Famiglia Melial. I love her. I think she's adorable. I think she is very power crept based on, you know, where we're at, but it is another Veleno card name, and it is a good one of to run, especially in a retire heavy meta. If you're against Shiranui, if you're against eventually Bob Sagara, you know, this will be a good card to have. When placed on rearguard circle, other than during the battle phase, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Lascaria and its card name, cost, discard a card from your hand, choose a card with a different card name from this unit from your drop zone, call it to rearguard circle if it's a grade 3 or less unit card with Veleno in its card name, and put it to your hand if it's a blitz order. So this card can get back your blitz orders from your drop zone for the cost of a discard, so if you have like too many grade 2s or grade 1s in hand, you can always just be like, ditch, 20k shield back to hand. Whoops, spoiler, it's 20k shield. So that's all for your grade 2s, but basically, you know, if you're really in a pinch, you can call her, call him, call her, discard 1, call him, and then make him call something else. And you've built a field for Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 4, and discard a card. Which, yeah, if you have the soul and you need the field, can come into play. So I'm not gonna say anything bad about it. It's a possibility, it's a rare one at that, but having 5 versions of not 5, but like 8 versions of drop zone recurrence with 3 different costs makes it very flexible. So getting into the grade 1s, we've got my new favorite card in the deck until the next set drops. We've got Veleno Soldato, dude, I need to like lock in. Lefo Nohila. Yeah, Lefonahila. There we go. This card is amazing. This is a huge, strong, gorgeous little guy. And then, well, also, this one is a triple rare, but going into the SR, you know, you can see the triple rare foiling on it. So again, we're back to the same question of, did they intend it, or was set 1 just wacky? It's got 2 abilities. She's amazing. You got 1. When placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Lascaria in its card name, not any specific one, just any Vanguard with Lascaria. Counterblast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Veleno in its card name, or up to 1 order card that's not a Regalis from among them. Reveal it and put it to your hand and shuffle the deck. Then continuous rearguard circle during your turn if you have 3 or more units with Veleno in their card names, power plus 5k. So it's an 18k booster, which puts it at the same numbers as Grudoli. It's a top 7 searcher for almost any card in your deck. And most importantly, it just says order card, so you can run normal orders with this unit. A lot of the other cards say specifically blitz order, but that one specifically says order card, so you can run normal orders, and I do. We'll get to that. So then we've got Veleno Soldato Siriraka. I think he is super cool, and I'm very glad to have the frame rares of like everything in this deck. It's gorgeous. 1 ability, auto rearguard circle at the end of your turn if you have 5 or more units with Veleno in their card names. Counterblast 1, put this unit on the bottom of your deck, and then choose up to 2 blitz orders from your drop zone and put them into your hand. So what does this do for you? Basically, like I said earlier, it's 20k shield. So end of your turn, Counterblast 1, he goes back to your deck, so you get cards back to your deck, because yes, this is a tank deck, so you need to last as long as possible, and you don't want to deck out, and you get 40k shield back to your hand. That's insane. So then, I am running 1 Veleno Famiglia Flowtree. I think this card is very silly. It's basically like just running a Maple, except with this version of Maple, you can call it earlier in the game. So it's got, when this card is discarded from your hand during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Lascaria and its card name, Soul Blast 1, call this card to rearguard circle. So your grade 0, 1, 2, 3 are all Lascarias. So at any given point, if you see this card, discard it, call it to field. Again, same thing. Also, if you have Melial, you can discard it for her, Soul Blast 1, and call it back to your field. So It's got a couple uses. I don't think it's a perfect card. I think it's just a fun card, and it's kind of like a silly little one-of to run, especially in a retire meta that does help every now and again. Then we've got 3 Honeycomb Thyreus, and why are we running Honeycomb Thyreus? Because it's a bug. Do not ask any more questions if that's the type of stupid question you're going to ask. Getting into triggers, I'm going to be pretty quick about this because everyone knows you've got Bless Favor. It's a Stoicheia deck, you're running Bless Favor. Got 3 Jackalope and 4 of Elena. Why are we running the 7 crits instead of 8 crits? Well, it's because we have restanders and crits on Vanguard already. So if we have restanders, obviously you know what that means. We're going to run 4 fronts. Look at us go, Frenzied Eris. This is just so pretty, I couldn't pass it up, I'll be honest. So, you know, you've got crits already pressuring with your Vanguard. You want bigger rear guards, so you make your rear guards bigger. And then we've got 4 heals, Petronella. Of course, that's it. Triggers, let's go. Who'd have thought? They're very simple, very easy, pretty straightforward. It never isn't straightforward. Then getting into the orders, semi-controversial, but I'm running the Fire Regalis. Sorry, I needed to adjust my chair. That my leg was falling asleep. But the Fire Regalis is a really good Regalis piece that basically allows you to get stuff from your deck and call it straight from the deck. You may see that like a lot of the cards that I'm running are cost heavy because that's what happens. As much as I hate saying it, Counterblast 1 in a deck that wants to Counterblast like 3 every turn is a lot. So you want to be running a Regalis piece that is free. There's this one and another one that I would recommend, but this is the one I'm currently running because basically I would like to stay safe from all sorts of counterplay. Retire is the best thing, and my spouse plays Favernil, and that hurts the crap out of this deck. So you got the Fire Regalis. Then I've got Nectar of Sensationalism. If the game goes on too long, this is another order you can search off of the grade 1. And you can give one of your rear guards plus 5k for every card in your drop, or every 5 cards in your drop zone, and then an additional crit. So if the game goes on long enough, you basically just go ahead and counterblast, or not counterblast, this is a free cost. Free cost, give your unit plus 15k and a crit. Strong. Then we've got 4 copies of Effervescent Shadow Dreamblade. This is the card that makes the deck go round. It's a grade 2 Blitz order, and I feel like they could give it another Blitz order that doesn't have the same ability, but like is Lascaria specific. Energy Blast 2, choose a unit being attacked, and it gets 20,000 power until the end of the battle. Then you can play one more Blitz order this turn. So if you have the energy, you can play this, you can play this, you can play this, you can play this, and then you can still play this. It's insane. This card is nuts. I love this card, and it makes the deck go round. Then we've got 1 copy of Sweet Honey Garden, Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your units, and it gets 15k until end of battle. Then if your drop zone has a Blitz order, it gets plus 25,000 instead of 15,000. Just an enormous shield, and it's a Soul Blast, so it's a lot different. And then I'm running Elementaria Sanctitude. Why am I running Elementaria Sanctitude? Because, I don't know, it's just, this one's shinier as opposed to the other Elementaria Sanctitude, so leave me alone. So that's the whole deck. Let's get into a quick discussion about things I could have run and why I'm not running, or why I'm not running anymore. There's a couple things. So first and foremost, getting into some Velenos that I'm not running. Fiore. I love this card. She's gorgeous, and I am not running her anymore. Very obviously, you didn't see her in the deck, so why am I not running her? So it's a top 5 searcher, basically. It is the same thing as the other grade 1. And then it searches for a Veleno or 1 Blitz order from among them. And so those 2 restrictions combined cause me to just not really want to run it, because it searches 2 less cards from the top of your deck, meaning it whiffs more. And then it also, in its second ability, only gets 2k power instead of 10k. Power creep is real. I'm sorry, Fiore. Then we've got this card, Paragil. It has seen 0 play. As much as I hate to say it, this is gorgeous. This is the most beautiful common I've ever seen for the Veleno deck, because it's like the only common the deck has gotten. When it attacks the Vanguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Lascaria, Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and then till end of your opponent's next turn, that unit cannot intercept and cannot stand. This would be amazing in an Ava meta. Nothing else. I don't have anything else to say to that. So that's why we're not running these 2 cards. But then getting into some of the other ones, why are we not running? We've got Hallucinatory Morpho. This card was really good when there wasn't more support for the deck. But you don't really want to be discarding your Blitz Orders early game because other decks can, like, rush the fuck out of you. And so, like, you don't want to discard so that you can Soul Blast 1 and get 10k early game, so there's no point in doing that. And then the Counterblast that searches for a normal order or a Blitz Order can just be a little hefty at times. Sea Rumble Brave Shooter. Again, same thing. Counterblast and Energy Blast can be pretty hefty in a deck that wants to Energy Blast and Counterblast for its own abilities. Also, it's not a Veleno, so we don't really need it. Then we've got Sound of Surging Brave Shooter. This card is actually really good. If you were more in a everything you see is a Stride deck, then you might really consider running this card. This card is really amazing in those. But the only grade 3 that we have in our deck that isn't Lascaria, I guess, is the Regalis piece, as well as oh my gravy, Aerithus. So not really worth running, and the other grade 3 that we have is bad. Why are we not running Gather Upon Me, Ye Wandering Souls? Because I don't want to be discarding my orders. This is the other Regalis piece that I was seriously considering. Getting a soul charge and a counter charge is amazing. Drawing 2 cards is amazing, but it doesn't really apply pressure in the same way that I want to, so I like the Fire Regalis. Gratias Gradale, or Gradale, however you want to call it. This is Gradale Jr. From NASCAR. It just allows you to Persona Ride, and I think it's a good card to have, but, you know, it will come into play, but more often than not, you will find your Persona Rides. And then Protection Twincast. Why are we not running Protection Twincast? Because you already have so many Blitz Orders in your deck. You do not need to be thinking, do I want to use my Regalis piece to Blitz Order and hit a slightly bigger number? Because I think it hits like 25, right? Yeah, it hits... No. Yeah, it's a smaller shield. It's a 15k shield by comparison to your typical 25k or 20k shield. So, you know, you don't want to waste your Regalis slot. So if you were not gonna play the Fire Regalis, I would recommend Radiance Caliburn. It's an amazing card. So then, how are we feeling at the end of the day? The deck hasn't really changed too much. It kind of does the same stuff, but like slightly different. You've got a couple different variations of what you could have done with Melial. You've got a different version of Morpho that does better things for the deck. You've got a different version of Fiore that does better things from the deck, and then you've got a long-term defense buffer that will never leave the deck, as well as just a silly guy. This deck has plenty of room to grow in the future, and I think that with the right support, this deck could continue to be a potential meta threat, honestly. If in the future they give us a new form, and I don't think we need a new form of Lascaria, or they give us a world-changing order that does some crazy ability, or allows you to play Blitz Orders that aren't the Dreamblade, and also still, like, let's say there's a set order that gives your unit, maybe for a cost every turn, you can give a unit a critical if you have X amount of Velenos, and then secondary ability, it allows you to play a second Blitz Order if you play a Blitz Order that's not Dreamblade. I think that would be an amazing way to support the deck and make it tankier and also be more aggressive. But going forward, if the deck sees more support, I need it to see more aggro. As we saw in the other video I posted recently, they did actually get more aggro. The new grade 1 doesn't really help with aggro, but the grade 2, basically... Here, let me go back in this, I'm sorry. The new grade 2 basically combines this with this. It's insane. To top it off, you get to do restanding rearguard on your opponent's grade 2. I've done some testing, and that new card just feels so insane in the deck. It hits the same numbers as Aerithus on your opponent's grade 2, and everything that you do with the deck just feels right. So, in the future, what could we see? I would like to see maybe a rearguard that gets criticals or some sort of order, just so that way you're feeling a little more like you have to run specific things and not just like, okay, so I got all the things, and I got my Wagales, and then I'm only running like these 2 extra blitz orders because it feels like really hard to run other blitz orders, and then everything else is a Veleno except for this, and this is getting replaced. So I think it would be really cool, and I hope that we do get it, because in the future, if this deck wants to compete, it will need it. So either way, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for attending my buggy classroom, or whatever you want to call this. It's really just like a game room where I play video games and sometimes talk about Cardfight Vanguard. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and look forward in the future to more deck talks, discussions, and what have you. So I appreciate any and all attention that this video gets, but I, as per always, would like to remind you that I'm not here to really beg. I'm just here to not really grow, but more so document my history of Vanguard. So if you would like to keep up with me and my history of Vanguard, that would be awesome, and I would appreciate any support. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good day.